this is Sabina at Keys Crafts with a super short bonus video this week. I was actually waiting for some panels to dry, and then I thought, oh, I'll get my embossing folders out, and then I reminded myself of a technique I have tried before, but I think I did it differently back then. What it is, it's called the Joseph's coat technique, because you get these sort of colours popping out behind the black. And the way I have done it before is I have used my coloured panel and I have inked up my embossing folder, which you can do. But this one I think is much easier, but you need to do it the right way and you need to choose the right embossing folder. I'll show you which one I used first, and that didn't work that well. I have got this embossing folder. I can't even remember purchasing it. Maybe I won it, maybe it came, I don't know, an advent calendar, I don't know. And what you need ideally is actually an embossing folder that doesn't have too many open areas. This one embosses like lines on these flowers here, but these have got very wide panels and that didn't work that well. I put down some ink just with my alcohol markers. I just did diagonal strips, and I'll show you the technique in a moment. When I then went over this with a black ink, it went into these more open areas and went onto the background, and that's not the idea behind it. The look you want is actually what was happening on this side, and I'll show you that with this panel now. So be mindful when you choose your embossing folders that you choose one that's got smaller details and is not too wide. I've already gone ahead because I needed these panels to dry. This panel to dry. So I have just put down some ink with my alcohol markers, just chose some strips. You can use any other ink to put down, it's really up to you. This is just a scrap paper as well. I just thought I will use that as a panel on a card, and I have spritzed it from the back before I put it through the embossing folder, and then, as I said, I needed to leave it to dry. When you put it through the embossing folder for the technique, I mean, you can get two different looks, but ideally you have the colour facing the back of the embossing folder, because that's where you've got the smaller details raised. You really want the details to be raised unless you want your background to be coloured and the details to be back. So what I've got now here is the feathers, they are recessed and the background's facing the front, and that's the important thing. So be mindful when you put your panel into your embossing folder that you do it the right way around. And then all we need is, ideally, I've seen it done with the ink pad straight to the panel, and you do get a good coverage, but ideally you have got a brayer. I think this is so much easier. And all you need to do is ink up your brayer, and my ink pad is very juicy at the moment because I only just re-inked it, and then you go over your dried panel and you basically colour in the background. So you can go for a grungy look if you want to, but I will actually come in from the side as well, just to have a good coverage. Oh, don't do that. Need to clean that up in a second. So I've got a few areas here in the middle. It doesn't want to take too well, but I think I'm okay with that. And can you see, let me just lift that up to the camera, how the colours pop now. You can still see the striping motif, I quite like that. And then the background, which is basically arisen, is all black. I really like the look of that. I will definitely cut it down a little bit slimmer, and I will quickly create a card off camera and show you how you could use a panel like that on your card. Here's my finished card. I've just cut the panel down to put it on a 6 by 5 7/8 card, and I thought with this motif of the peacock feather, I used my die that I have got, and I cut this from some coloured vellum, and I put some double-sided adhesive on the back and die cut that. I wasn't quite aware how much that would actually get lost on here. I might have been better off cutting it in a different colour, in a different medium, and it does want to come off a little bit here. But never mind, I think it's still quite nice, and I've stamped a little happy birthday at the bottom. This will probably go in the stash of cards that I like to give to friends for them to pass on, but I think this is good enough. But waste not, want not. I've used the other panel, and I created some Twinchies. So I've cut the bits out that I liked, just under 2 inches square, and I put it on some pink cardstock because I quite liked it to pop a little bit. And then again from some coloured vellum. I colour these myself. I've shown that a few times on my channel. You just use your alcohol markers, you go onto the vellum, spritz some spirit alcohol on it, and then the colour sort of dissolves. You can go back in, which I did in this case. After I die cut the butterflies, I just went in with my alcohol marker again and again with some spirit alcohol, just to get a little bit more pattern. And then I added some rhinestones in the middle, and then just used a gold pen to add the antennae. These will actually go into the Twinchie channel this month, but I will record a separate video for that and maybe recreate this technique there. So yeah, just a few ideas, or basically one technique idea, what you can do with your embossing folders. I think it's good fun. I think you can get really creative with the results. And yeah, I hope you like this video. If you do, please like, subscribe and share. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.